setting sun in the Monet painting pulse that makes it active. And so in my paintings, sometimes I take a representation, I take a landscape or a painting I've made, and I go back into it and I introduce other colors or other shapes to create a kind of activity, like sort of we were talking as we were getting started about a push and pull or something, but the grid of colors that's placed on top of a representational painting instinctively energizes the painting, alters it, creates a kind of activity that seems like it's a continuation of what was already happening. And it's very important what you were saying about scale, because you can create action with colors by shifts of value or shifts of saturation, and contrasts of primaries and things like that. But this other thing of large areas versus small areas is also really interesting. And that, of course, that's part of what Hoffman explored, and all of most of the painters who I like, whether it's Morandi or Albers, and certainly Cezanne and Corot. There was all this invention going on. To whatever degree their paintings were representational, there's always these pockets and moments of invention that are what separate them from their contemporaries, and I think make them so important to us as painters. Looking back and trying to learn from other people, learn from very important people in history.
We do choose the people that will instruct us. We instinctively gravitate towards certain artists. And in your case, just to orient the audience to the kind of sensitivity to the relation of colors in his paintings and how the surface is so activated. I just forgot my point. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, I forgot my point, but I'm trying to... you mentioned Morandi.
Uh-huh.
And with Morandi, what we have here is a case of a painter who uses very closely valued hues.
That's right.
Extremely close. So subtle differences vibrate.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes you aware of nuances that you probably never noticed because you've never had them pulled together with such discrimination. Okay, now let me give an example of Paul Resica in his house in Provincetown, at High Head, overlooking Pilgrim Lake. It's a former restaurant, stucco villa, really, which is villa is a great house in a beautiful location.
Mm-hmm.
And his great house is hung with his paintings. And the color of the walls, each room has a different, not shade, but tint of white. Mm-hmm. There might be almond or ivory or tooth white, a little yellowy.
And it has a big impact.
It's what you hang the walls you hang on. And then suddenly, because Paul, whose life is all about color, he doesn't care whether it's geometric or a flower, he'll make it sing. And I think you're struggling, that's the issue I was trying to bring up earlier, with the relation between abstract work and representational work, and where the memory comes in. Now, memory. Mm-hmm. You're a traveler. You go out in the field, let's say, to get experiences, to see how different atmospheres interact with the landscape in a different country, whether it's in Denmark or in Mexico. Mm-hmm. You lived in France for a year.
Right, in France and Italy both. And then I travel mostly to the other places. When I haven't really lived in Scandinavia, but I've been to Scandinavia quite a bit. And a lot of the paintings, the current paintings of the last few years are either from Scandinavia, some of them from this island Bornholm that I go to sometimes in the Baltic. And then it's interesting how some people have said to me with the recent catalogs that they have to look more closely at the titles to see if the painting is from the Cape or is it from Scandinavia.